Only in Kentucky can a single county claim a courthouse saved by wood shavings and a resort built around a fountain of sulfur. Hi, I'm Michael, and I'm learning a little bit more about Kentucky, one county at a time, all 120 of them. And today, I'm learning about Metcalfe County. Metcalfe's terrain features hills that roll gently into valleys carved by streams. The ridges rise to elevations exceeding 1,100 feet, providing sweeping views of the hollers below. Little Barren River also flows through the county. Henry Skaggs was a famous explorer who became the first European to document the area. He led expeditions through the wilderness during the 1770s, tracking elk and gathering salt at Big Blue Spring. Permanent settlers followed his path in the 1780s, traveling along trails from Virginia to seek their fortunes in the West. Reverend Edmund Rogers arrived during this period. He was a veteran of the Revolution and a cousin to George Rogers Clark. Rogers worked as a surveyor, mapping tracts of land across the southwestern portion of the current county. He laid out boundaries for pioneers who chose to bypass the hollers, building their homesteads on the higher ridges where springs provided fresh water. The county's political history began with a dispute over infrastructure. During the 1850s, the residents of Barren County grew incredibly frustrated. The railroad planned a route that completely bypassed their communities, funneling wealth and development towards other towns. They demanded their own government, hoping to control their own destiny. Well, lawmakers in Frankfort finally agreed, establishing Metcalfe County in 1860 by carving territory from 5 neighboring jurisdictions. The legislature named the county to honor Thomas Metcalfe, a former governor who had earned the nickname Stonehammer while working as a mason. Officials organized an election to fill a government seat, and voters selected Edmund. Edmund Rogers had originally laid out this town at a major crossroads decades earlier. Leaders established a public square and built a brick courthouse, creating a center for the new administration. The county was born on the eve of the Civil War. The border state territory contained both Union volunteers and residents sympathetic to the Confederacy, creating a tense atmosphere. Violence struck the heart of the county on March 15, 1865. Jacob Bennett led a band of guerrillas into Edmonton, bringing chaos to the public square. The raiders pillaged the businesses and set fire to the courthouse, destroying the early records of the county in a blazing inferno. As the guerrilla Confederates tore through the town, an official rushed to save the treasury. He handed the funds to his wife, who sprinted out the back door of their home. She rushed towards a building where enslaved men were working as carpenters. She hid the cash inside a pile of wood shavings, instructing the men to keep working as if nothing had happened. The raiders arrived moments later, threatening to torture the official if he refused to surrender the money. He stood his ground, and the frustrated Confederates eventually rode away, leaving the treasury completely secure, and the community recovered from the drama. Officials built a replacement courthouse shortly after the war, but an arsonist burned that structure to the ground in 1868 as well. Residents refused to surrender, trying a third time in 1869. They constructed a building with a common bond brickwork pattern. That courthouse still stands on the square today. A stonemason named John Wilson had already built a jail nearby in 1861, using limestone blocks quarried from the surrounding hills to create a fortress for the justice system there. While the government rebuilt, a unique industry flourished in the northern portion of the county. Ezekiel Neal was drilling a well to extract salt in 1845 when his equipment struck a vein of water. The liquid contained a heavy concentration of sulfur, emitting an odor that filled the air. Folks quickly claimed the water offered miraculous health benefits, like many people did back then, and an entrepreneur built a hotel near the spring, and the village of Sulphur Well transformed into a destination for tourists seeking wellness retreats, very common at that time. The community eventually featured bathhouses, retail stores, and a flour mill, operating as a spa until the middle of the 20th century. Metcalfe County never secured a railroad, as tracks bypassed the borders entirely. This isolation prevented the development of coal mining or heavy industry, preserving a culture deeply rooted in strictly agriculture. Residents did rely on stagecoaches and wagons to navigate the roads. The Maysville and Lexington Road, which now serves as Highway 68, eventually became an artery for commerce, allowing farmers to transport their crops to larger markets. Farmers grew corn and tobacco in the valleys, managing plots of land passed down through generations. They raised hogs and tended flocks of sheep. Loggers harvested oak and poplar from the hillsides, floating the timber down the creeks or loading it onto trucks. Distillers highly valued local white oak, of course, using it to make staves for bourbon barrels. The arrival of paved highways eventually broke the isolation. Engineers extended the Cumberland Parkway to Edmonton during the 1970s, providing a crucial link to the interstate system. The infrastructure allowed the county to attract manufacturing facilities during the final decades of the 20th century. Sumitomo Electric opened a plant near Edmonton in 1988, hiring hundreds of residents to assemble wiring harnesses for automobiles. The Carhartt Corporation opened a factory the following year there, employing locals to sew the jackets worn by laborers worldwide. The Kingsford Company built a plant near Summershade in 1995, utilizing wood waste from sawmills across the region to press charcoal. The tradition of woodworking continues to thrive today because of the Pennington Stave and Cooperage Company opening a facility in the industrial park there in 2021, securing state grants to expand operations. Workers cut timber into staves, supplying the bourbon industry while also providing jobs for the community. The county birthed a musical legacy, starting near the community of Wisdom. Brothers Richard and Fred Young began playing instruments there, eventually forming the Kentucky Headhunters. Now, folks who have watched all these county videos, especially from the beginning, might remember my earliest blunder that I got roasted for in the comments, and still do today. And trust me, I will just never forget that the Kentucky Headhunters are from Metcalfe County. Anyway, they became quite successful. They won a Grammy and toured the country, prompting the state legislature to honor the musicians by dedicating a stretch of Highway 640 in their name. That success paved the way for more talent. The Young brothers are the father and uncle of Blackstone Cherry's drummer, and they originally allowed the teenagers of Blackstone Cherry to use their practice space. Chris Robertson and Ben Wells formed the new band in Edmonton in 2001. The group eventually topped the music charts and even named their 5th studio album, Kentucky. The origins of the name Edmonton remain unclear, though historians believe it may have been named for a city in England. The town of Summer Shade received its current moniker in 1872 when a postmaster changed the name to describe a grove in the area. Knoblik took its title from a salt lick located near a hill. The community of Good Luck features a name whose origins remain a mystery, though it might have just been chosen to bring fortune to the pioneers. The population today hovers around 10,500 people. Agriculture still dominates the landscape, with families raising beef cattle and harvesting fields of soybeans. Residents commute to the factories in the industrial park, while others drive to neighboring cities for work. Edmonton hosts the Metcalfe County Fair every summer, continuing a tradition that has survived for over a century now. October brings the Pumpkin Festival to the public square in Edmonton. Summer Shade draws crowds every May for a parade celebrating the community's founders. The county continues to build towards the future. The Transportation Cabinet recently launched a project to realign Highway 68, spending millions of dollars to ease the curves and construct a bridge over Caney Fork Creek. These improvements ensure the county remains connected, blending the independence of its pioneer history with the demands of a modern world. So, that's Metcalfe County. What'd I get wrong this time?